Hello, tis I, Noir Nerd, and this is the devlog 3 for the Papyrus 3D engine framework thing I'm building at the minute. So I'm just going to dive right into it because I don't want to waste too much time. So if you've seen the previous videos, you know that I was working on a map editor last time, so I've done a bit more work on that basically. Got the WSAD still working in there just for testing purposes, but yeah, it's just, if you remember from before, I got the equal height and width array, and then I basically, for each scene, it renders this view based on a few functions which I've been writing and sort of perfecting and prototyping basically. Well, not even perfecting, it's still prototyping still. And there is still something I need to add on, which is the, I want to have it so there's at least like, I don't know, 9, 10 texture slots you can add, and then you can add with different numbers. So 1 to 10, you'll swap out different textures. So that'll be like a sort of basic texture mapping functionality, I guess. Other things I have to sort out here are making it so that something else I need to talk about actually. I'll just start demoing that first. But I've also added in now, and it's still work in progress. So this is the actual map, okay? So this is the 2D representation of that 3D space from up top, of course. So I added in the ability to add characters with this, just like C and then a number like this, which then hopefully that's going to add in character in that place. If I think it was somewhere up here on it. Obviously, like all the collision detection's not there. We go. So that adds now character C on there. So yeah, that's working now, and well, it does need a bit of work though still. Like I need to. So yeah, just basically now it will support in the. I mean, this is not really a map editor. Like I'm probably gonna. This is a bit of JSON obviously, so it's and then you can create these basic maps with equal height and width, but. Obviously, I can't expand it. Also, that's a bit wrong. I do need to expand on this because look, if you look at the actual process of editing something like this, it's quite cumbersome. Obviously, it takes a bit of time. It's not dead bad. I mean, it's not like ridiculous. You are basically just sort of adding in, but it isn't the most user friendly. I think I mentioned this last time, so I think I'll try and add in a second character as well. 1 second, you know. And that should add in, like I've got this other model in there which is a bit of a weird one, but it should add in. It's just like a dummy character right now from before. I'll just see if that other model I've got in here, which is character 2, is now loaded in. One other thing I've been thinking of, there we go, yeah, there she is. Now she's there. And this model got messed up for some reason, so she looks really freaky, but the model itself is loaded in. It's just a corrupted model for some reason. But, oh, into the buttocks. But yeah, so areas for development, of course. Going forward with this map editing creation thing, I think I'm actually going to start working on the few things, obviously. A component system, so for example how we've got the models loading in now, which is good, but it would be good to be able to add in custom model components for background elements, because obviously, like, okay, we can generate a room, we can we can generate these rooms with corridors, and we've got this basic ceiling and blah blah blah, which doesn't look that impressive at the minute. I'm just using like test textures. I need to actually try and make it look at least a bit artistic. But say for example, if we come into this room, or the camera was switching into this room, we need a few different things. We need node markers for different cameras because, like I said, this is not going to be a WSAD game. I'm just doing this because it's ease of use for testing. And I'll probably have a flag for actually defining this, like a component or something that just gives you WSAD controls, or adds it essentially just to the camera. So if you wanted to test it, initiate test mode, you could just flag that's true, I guess, in the scene. But basically, what was I saying? So yeah, you know, like I need to figure out a way for the camera nodes. So like camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, camera 4. And then obviously some code to be able to switch between those views in each scene, and then do it in a good way, in like a way that's flexible, basically. And then also custom components, like I said. So, say for example, if I was building out this is a dungeon. Let's keep it simple. This is like your classic dungeon with goblins. Maybe I want 2 components here with what do you call it, like a flame start, what do they call it again, the you know what I mean, like a candle or something, whatever, for argument's sake, just like a candle here, then I place it like next to this wall, just in front of it. Obviously the placement's going to be rather limited, like I'm just trying to create, the placement will be somewhat limited because, as you can see, like we're operating on this idea of this. So basically, it would just be, if I had a custom component there, it would just be in front, directly in front. You wouldn't be able to do anything like more at this point anyway. You wouldn't be able to do more granular placement, which might be a limitation actually. Like obviously, like I am learning this on the fly, like how this might work in theory, but that would be a limitation obviously. Like if you know, if you can't do, say for example, maybe if you wanted to add a picture or something, you can add it here, but then you'd want to be placing it within that, like a picture or something, like a poster for argument's sake, and then just apply it on this wall. So again, a limitation. Yeah, like I'm trying to I'm still like I said, prototyping all this stuff. So, and I mean obviously the big limitation as well is the equal width and height thing. So, but not really that much. You can work around that, to be honest. Like, it just has to be equal width and height to work properly. So. But yeah, in terms of the actual room creation, I don't think there's any point overcomplicating it. Like I said, like I know I'm rambling a bit now, but I'm just thinking aloud. Like I think, why overcomplicate it? This is an engine designed to do a very simple, well not very simple, but do a relatively simple thing with fixed positions for the cameras. It's being designed for a very specific use case. You know, generally speaking, I'm going to go into here. I'm going to have an interaction box with this guy. Then I'm going to be maybe shifting into this corridor here. You know, you get like an EUI that's a choice box that says something like, do you want to go up the corridor to the east or whatever, and then ding 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 ding, you move forward a bit. The camera node placer is here. Do you want to talk to this lady? Yes, no. Boof, you're in this scene. I need to start really prototyping that sort of thing as well now, to be honest. Like basically the transitions between cameras, but I'll probably start doing that today, to be honest. It's not literally, that's just going to be updating the camera position based on a camera parameter or something, so shouldn't be anything too difficult, I guess. There's like a bit of an outside area here actually, if you look. So basically when I'm adding the floor, this is something I'm thinking about as well, because like basically, obviously when I'm in the real thing I won't be able to move outside of this map area, right? It was not going to be possible. Hence one of the reasons where I've added the floor and the ceiling, which is a bit claustrophobic. It's not that high actually. Let me just see what happens if I make it higher, because it's a bit low really, to be honest. I've not really experimented with this much, so this will be a real-time experiment of what actually happens if I increase the wall height, the actual individual wall height in the main.js loop. So if I go, possibly what I could do as well is I can create custom, so you can basically have a JSON that defines the wall height and blah 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 blah, then it passes it basically from the into the crate. Just do 20. So if I do 20, these walls should be much taller. But it'll be interesting to see what it does to the scaling of the actual models too. Okay, that looks the same actually. Maybe I need to change the wall size too, possibly. Oh no, maybe I know why it is. Yeah, okay, it is taller, but actually the ceiling, yeah, it's much taller. Look, it's just that the ceiling I think is actually being placed weirdly. Look, I'm not really, that was just like something I did, I'm assuming it's like, just in the A-frame inspector, yeah, see, so actually the ceiling is not high enough now, so I'd have to work out something for that. And you can sort of see that's basically the representation of the 2D array in 3 dimensions. It's literally just taking 1 1 1 1 1 0 0 0 is empty space, 0 is empty space, and then the actual floor and ceiling are just like literally a plane is added. Actually, okay, I've got to work out some stuff with basically positioning. That's wrong, obviously. Don't want it going underneath the floor. Let's just set it back to what it was before. Actually, I'm just curious about this. Like I said, I'm really just hacking this out at the minute. So if we put it back to not that. To add that again because that's actually quite important. I'm gonna get rid of that. That would break. That's something I was working on yesterday. The display functionality, not inspect. Okay, so I'm just curious about this. So, okay, yeah, no, it's on the floor on that, but it's just really specific. It needs to be basically I just need to edit the floor and thingy-bob routine probably because there's some scaling stuff. But anyway, I'm rambling too much now. For the next, so I was just showing mostly just the character adding. I'll quickly show the code for that. I know I've rambled a bit, sorry, that was a bit shambolic. Let's go to, so what am I adding? So, how am I adding the characters? So, this is going to be the coding sort of overview thingamabob, and this is not actually finished code, so if you're not interested in that, just an exploration of that, then yeah, we'll go somewhere else, I guess. So, blah, blah, blah. Like I'm currently working on adding the chars, which is the references, the names of the references, the asset name references. So like I've got Bob in there, lady, ninja, blah blah blah. And for the models folder, you've got Bob, geek, lady. Geek is just one of a Bob actually. And yeah, like I do need to tidy it all up, but yeah. So this is like current. You need to put in your asset references here, blah 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 blah. And that's just a test one, but when you actually do it in the code, it goes. That's the JSON that's been pulled, the object characters, just a definition for that, reference for that. Char number, which is the number of characters in this scene. And then I set the index to 0. And then when we've got the actual, so this is the code for where you've got the width and the height loop. So you've got the height and then it loops, and then for each element of the array, where there's an element in the array for the width, in the case it'll be like 48 times, it'll go 48, 48, 48, like I said in the last video, in the for loop. But then if it detects that there's a type of material or string, I don't know if this is the best way to do it. Like this is just literally the first idea that came into my head yesterday. So we have type of checking, so it does type checking for if it's a string, because obviously I want to distinguish between walls and component objects. And then I do if math data char at 0 equals c, which I'll probably have to change because there might be different types of component, but for the characters it's fine, because like I might, for component for example, I might add something like I don't know, component O, or maybe O. I'll do O. O would be in it more, it makes sense. So I'll do like map data index value char at, and then 0 equals O, and then it would be the first character in that string, which would be, if it was like O1, O2, O3, O3, O4, blah, 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 it would be O, and then obviously like I have to do this bit, so this is how I've done it so far. So because this is a loop as well, basically with the characters, I think, and I'm not 100% sure if this is right yet, so it won't be incorrect, but I do add char, and then that returns basically there's actually a separate function for that. I'll just quickly look it up, and it returns the model of the associated ID. So here we go. It's just like the char characters object, gives it a model reference, blah blah blah, name, and then GLTF model, gives it a scale, which I'm still working out, and then it just returns that value, and then we call it here, and then that gets stored in this variable char here, and then set the position, which I've had to do here. Mainly that's exactly the same as the position for the wall elements, except the y value is different, -4. I'm not exactly sure why, it's just seems to work at the minute though. And append that to the room basically, so it's all in the same entity space. And then probably should do this. Char loop index, which is the reference to what current character load in, is updated to the next character. So for example, next time this loop runs, if it comes across something, it'll go, oh, so it's C2. One way this is obviously wrong is, and I think I need to update it, is the fact that, say you've got C1 as the first one, or what if C3 is the first one? Yeah, like it's going to go 1, it's always going to do 1 there, so it is wrong actually at the minute. But basically, like, I'm hacking this stuff out at the minute, like I need to change that, like I was thinking about that yesterday actually. And yeah, so, and obviously like I need to change a load of other stuff here, it's just, but I think I've changed the idea of this, like I do want to make this so that this way of creating rooms is the main way of creating rooms basically, just because I think it offers a lot more flexibility, you know, instead of just creating like some square rooms with a few characters that are hard to, like, the code is starting to get like a bit messy, but like some of this is like square room for example, I can probably just get rid of it. So essentially what's going on here is a prototypal update essentially, and just removing stuff that's now redundant, like, but a lot of this stuff is being used still, so but yeah, there's some redundancy starting to set in, so I need to refactor a bit actually, and just because I've sort of changed the way the approach due to being able to edit the maps fairly easily. So yeah, I need to just basically reduce, because at the minute it's currently at 300 lines, which is not huge, right, for basically a basic way of rendering these scenes for the JSON input. That's not that bad, but you know, if I'm not careful, this could easily double in size to 600 lines, and like, you know, functions like this are now redundant, so that's easily like almost half the code. But then again, this is like from an earlier. In fact, I'm just going to delete this now because it's like literally never called. Or should I? Yeah, it's never called. There's no point having it. So I'm going to get rid of it. It's just, and all that does is create a square, so I'm going to get rid of it for now. So yeah, live refactoring. Like, yeah. I mean, basically, this function. I mean, yeah, there's a little level of abstraction here, and it's a little bit complicated, but essentially, it does a lot more than just creating a square room, which is good. Like, there's more complexity, and and yes, it is still a little abstract to actually create them, but it does actually make it so that it will be functional somewhat on some level now. You know, for creating maps basically. Whereas, you know, using square things, you'd have to do using the function I had before just for creating a square room. Like in theory, if you wanted to create, you'd have to have like multiple square rooms, and it would just literally create a square every time, and it's just very boring. So you get what I mean. I'm trying to make it so that it's more adaptable, more flexible, offers more options, and all that sort of thing, basically. One of the questions, I'll just wrap this up now because I'm actually going on quite a lot. One thing I had thought of was I want to add a custom components just script basically that just allows, and then think about how I could integrate that somehow. So for example, if but then I don't know, I mean, am I overcomplicating this? Because basically then it's just the whole point of what I'm trying to make here in a lot of ways is I'm trying to make a you know, a sort of basically almost no code version of an interactive fiction engine that just does a lot of the, abstracts all the hard work away from you that you'd have to do otherwise in A-frame essentially, right? So do I then want to give, I mean, you could hack away at the source code of this anyway if you wanted to and just add a custom components. It wouldn't be that hard if you actually know what you're making. Like let me just show the components in a minute. Let's get rid of that. So I already have like even my own custom, well, it's going to be the generic components once it's done, but for the actual framework, like, so the glow effects is a component, the character is a component. I'm not sure if we use the character as a component yet, but anyway, I'm thinking ahead here basically, so because basically I can probably, yeah, again, like I said, a lot of the code's spread out, but yeah, I'll probably, what was I trying to do there? I'll have to change a bit if I want to use that, but anyway, yeah, I've got, sorry, I'm rambling, but you've got, this is something that's working on that I can probably get rid of now, honestly, but yeah, basically, some components, you can, you know, if someone wants to add their own custom ones, they can just add them in there, basically. But yeah, anyway, it's getting there somewhat, and I'm just make myself bigger and just wind it up now, so it's gone on for ages. I'm going to create a dungeon crawler, I think, a basic game. That'll be my main aim. So I'm going to start working on the demo. In fact, I'll create the folder now, and I need to start thinking about trimming some of this out. But anyway, let's go demo game. And I'll just have to copy a bunch of the stuff in here, but essentially, yeah, like if I once I've got the God, I keep on thinking of things. So basically, I think I'm going to bundle all the code up soon. So I'm going to create like a build routine of some sort and just bundle all the JavaScript. So like say A-frame. Basically, actually, some of these aren't even being used as well. So physics system is just something I was messing around with. Don't need it probably. A-frame component min. It's not going to be used. It was just something I was experimenting with again. It's in that file. But yeah, but basically to bundle main, possibly leave components out. I'm not sure, because then I was thinking you could add your own customs, but maybe also bundle components too. And then obviously just leave A-frame, or just bundle all of it. I don't know. But when I try and do the dump, when I get ready to at that point, I'll bundle everything together, create a demo game with some sort of dungeon crawler thing. And then, you know, you talk to this wizard, he gives you a mission, you go here, you do this. One thing I'm really, I don't know, it's not going to be that hard to do even, it's basically to make the choice UI as well, something I need to deal with probably pretty soon. Anyway, I apologise. I've gone a bit all over the place on that one, but hopefully that gives you a good idea of where the project's up to now. Leave comments below if you have any. The code does need a bit of a tidy, like I said. That's the main thing. I just need to start adding some of the main features, but I'm fairly alright, happy with where it's at, and I'll just have a good session on it today. So I'll report back probably in 2 days at least. That's no one in. There'll be no one in to like and subscribe. Give some love, bro, sis, bro. That's it really.